we interrupt this program to bring you Courage, the Cowardly Dog Show, starring Courage, the Cowardly Dog!
Today, we're going to be taking a look back at a dark and disturbing episode of Courage, the Cowardly Dog. But of course, this show is no stranger to dark and disturbing episodes. Like when Eustace refused to return the slab.
Return the slab, or suffer my curse.
What's your offer?
Or when Mariel became whatever this is.
Won't you join me?
Definitely inspired by The Exorcist. But today, we're going to be taking a look back at one of my personal favorite and freaky episodes. Freaky Fred. In this episode, Courage has to confront a bizarre and unsettling character that we later find out is a relative of the family. And his name is Fred, and he's a barber who has a strange obsession with cutting hair. Now, this episode is widely regarded as one of the most disturbing and unnerving episodes of the entire series. And for pretty good reason. This is the type of episode that stays with you long after it's over. I mean, look at this guy. Absolutely terrifying. With that being said, was Fred really such a bad guy, or was he just misunderstood? Let's jump into it. The episode begins with introducing us to Mariel's nephew, Fred. We see that Fred talks in creepy, kind of poetic rhymes, sort of like a disturbing cat in the hat.
Hello, new friend. My name is Fred. The words you hear are in my head. I said my name is Fred, and I've been very naughty.
Fred's on his way to stay with Eustace, Muriel, and Courage. Muriel being very excited, but Eustace, well...
The freak's a barber, a freaky barber, with his own freaky barber shop, where freaky things happen, freaky barber things.
So now we're learning from Eustace that Fred is a barber, a freaky barber. Fred finally arrives at the house and immediately sees Courage on the steps.
That's when my tired eyes beheld a doggy dog. Like dog he spelled. D-O-G is what he spelled, and that's how I spell naughty.
And of course, Eustace tries to make an excuse to leave, but Muriel doesn't want him to be rude and makes him come back and talk to Fred. And when Eustace comes back, we get a zoom in on Fred's bracelet, and it reads, "Home for Freaky Barbers," with a phone number on it. It seems this is implying that he's escaped from some type of freaky barber psych ward. So are there like others like him? How many freaky barbers are out there? Apparently enough to where they need an entire house just for freaky barbers. Muriel tells Fred that he can go upstairs and freshen up in the bathroom, and tells Courage to go show him where the bathroom is.
You must be exhausted, Fred dear. Would you like to freshen up?
Yes, been quite a trip it has.
Show Fred the bathroom, please, Courage. No! Such a fuss. This rudeness won't do.
Okay, I'll do it. But I won't like it.
Before Eustace can leave, he brings towels up to the bathroom, but of course, Eustace isn't leaving until he does something mean to Courage. And that's when he slams the bathroom door and locks Courage inside with Fred.
Alone was I with tender Courage, and all his fur, his furry furage, which I say did encourage me to be quite naughty.
This is where the episode starts to take a dark turn. While Fred starts to groom Courage, he tells him that his hair reminds him of the first time he knew how he felt about hair. And he proceeds to tell a story of his first pet, a fuzzy little hamster, and how the hamster's hair made him feel naughty.
And oh, such fuzz, it does demand that I be naughty. He looked at me, his fetching eyes, and fetching fur did hypnotize. I filled with joy, I filled with sighs, and that's when I got naughty.
Courage tries to escape through a toilet, and when Fred pulls him out, his hair's wet. This reminds Fred of one of his victims.
Barbara, my love was named, and her fair hair are mane untamed. Until one evening, I'm ashamed, I got a little naughty. the look upon my young love's face was sweet as lace. But in this case, I realized she needed space. I never more was naughty. Well, maybe not never.
Pause for a second. The sound of this man's voice, the way he talks in these poetic rhymes, and not to mention that creepy smile, I'm an adult and this is making me feel super uneasy. Imagine watching this at like 8 years old. Yeah, I can definitely see why so many people remember Freaky Fred. Okay, resume. Muriel hears Courage howling and trying to scratch his way out from under the door, but she just thinks he wants breakfast, so she slides him some food. Oh, and did I forget to mention Eustace was supposed to come back and let Courage out of the locked bathroom? Because this man literally went to the beach. Fred begins to force feed Courage the pancakes, and while he's doing this, Courage steals the bracelet and calls the phone number off Fred's arm. Fred goes on to tell another story, this one being about a man with a large beard and a full head of hair coming in for a trim.
Into my shop he walked one day, with bush above and beard bouquet. That's no to pay, I pray, no way. I could help but be, you know.
Just a trim, partner.
I'd never seen such hair before. His bangs, they sang. His neck, it beckoned. Eyebrows, armpits, all were reckoned. Soon I figured, what the heck, and guess how I was naughty.
As the story comes to an end, Fred finishes shaving nearly every hair off Courage's body. Courage slips away long enough just to call the Home for Freaky Barbers and presumably tells them where Fred is. Fred sees one patch of hair left on Courage and nods for him to come over. As this happens, we hear sirens coming from outside. Fred doesn't seem surprised by the sirens outside, so this makes me wonder, how many times has he gone through this?
Surround the area! Cut the power! We don't want anyone getting shaved in there!
So ends our little story.
What took them so long?
The door gets knocked down and two giant men come in and grab Fred. They take Fred down into a white van and they drive away.
But then my landlords did presume to free me from that porcelain tomb and ferry to a private room your hero, ever Doughty.
What a lovely visit. Too bad Eustace didn't get to say goodbye.
Goodbye, dear aunt. I'll miss your farm and Eustace's ebullient charm. And farewell, Courage. What's the harm if I was slightly naughty? With love, Fred.
And that's Freaky Fred. Alright, this episode was pretty wild. I got really crazy serial killer vibes from Fred. Like, he started on small animals and then moved on to people, and God, it was so creepy. But despite that, Fred is generally a very polite and respectful person. Sure, he might have had an obsession with hair, but it could have been a lot worse. But I am left wondering, why doesn't Fred cut his own hair? Clearly he has a crazy obsession, so you'd think that he wouldn't be able to control himself. But regardless, I thought this episode was fantastic. So now I can ask you, was Freaky Fred really such a bad guy? Or was he maybe misunderstood? Let me know in the comments, and if you enjoyed the video, please leave a thumbs up, it helps me out so much. And while you're here, maybe subscribe too, I'd really appreciate it. And until next time, peace.
Whoops.
I heard the door slam.
The door slammed.
Oh.